Hey YouTube, Heir of Carthage here, gonna bring you some RTR Platinum 1.9. Many of you have been asking me to play as Egypt, which I have utterly refused to do because Egypt is so completely, wholly unrealistic on RTW vanilla. So I decided to bring you a battle where I'm playing as the Ptolemaic Empire, which probably should have been the name of Egypt on Rome Total War, because it was the leftover remnants of Alexander's empire. My army is 7 of these Pezoi phalangites, and I have, I believe it's 4 units of Rhodian slingers, and then I have 2 units, let me get you an up close view. There's my Rhodian slingers, and here is my Hypaspatae, which is heavy infantry. I don't know why these guys didn't get included in RTW, that was another failure. And then I have my elite units back here in the back, which they're called Agema. They look a lot like Pezoi, and they're just the elite guards of the king. I have my general here, which is right there. It's looking pretty good. I have 2 units of heavy cavalry similar to my general, and then I have these elephants here. Alright, let's take a look at the Pontic Army. You can see on each wing I have Pontic cavalry bearing down on me, and the computer AI usually sucks. Here they pulled off a very well positioned charge against my slingers. The only problem is they ended up getting, trapped by my Hypaspatae and my heavy cavalry. Otherwise, I must say that I was slightly impressed by the AI there. However, I'm not so impressed by the AI's other maneuvering. They bring all their troops right into my center, but they did at least bring in their heavy Pontic nobles, which are superior to my my Pezoi spearmen. So although they came right up the center, they at least brought their superior troops. And they also have 7 units of Pezoi. They have 4 units of these Pontic nobles, which would look a lot like the heavy spearmen that we know from RTW vanilla. And then I gave the Pontians quite a bit of cavalry. You saw the Cappadocian lancers that I routed. Let's watch my elephants here. They're going to get into some action against these Pontic nobles. My elephants are getting hit with arrow fire and flaming arrows, so I don't expect them to last long, so I want to get them in and do some damage. So I come in here and start hammering away on these Pontic nobles, and I realize that my men are in a place where they shouldn't be, so I try and get my elephants out of there. But they're going to run amok here shortly because of the flaming arrow fire. So the AI did pretty well there to chase off my elephants. And the computer kind of keeps positioning and repositioning, and I was kind of slow to react. I was watching a lot of smaller fights, and so they're going to really tear up my my Pezoi through here because they just have a huge number of troops all in one place. So they're going to collapse my center, but I start falling in on their flanks. So this, in some ways, is reminiscent of Con A, how the Romans pushed hard into the center and caused quite a bit of damage, but also ended up exposing their flanks. The only difference is here, I'm definitely not going to win the cavalry fight. And I set it up to be that way because Pontus has some interesting cavalry. Out here you can see the Pontic Chariots. They have some of these scythe chariots here, which are pretty deadly looking. You can see they have some ridiculously long scythes there. And I'm not sure, I didn't watch these guys when I was actually commanding the battle. There's also some Pontic light javelin cavalry, and then there's some Pontic chariot archers. So I had the Pontians bring some cool cavalry, because I wanted the computer to have an advantage there. Well, apparently this is what happened to their side chariots. Fortunately for me, the Pontian commander charged them right into my spear troops, which is good, because had he used these guys properly, he might have been able to cause a chain rout in the backfield. But that's the end of the side chariots. And again, you can see I'm kind of slow to react. The Pontians have just mashed their way through my troops in the center. They haven't necessarily killed them all or routed them, but they've pushed their way through, and they have superior numbers. But now, like I said, I'm going to be pushing hard on the flanks of the Pontian troops. So I'll try and get you lots of close-up views here. My Rhodian slingers are right now dealing the business to these archers out here. And the slingers on the RTR games are represented much better than they are in RTW. In real life, until long bows and composite bows started to be created, the slingers really had an advantage on the battlefield as far as range is concerned, and a stone could cause quite a lot of damage. The archers were definitely more effective against cavalry, but slingers were definitely underestimated in RTW. Alright, let's take a look. The Pontian general was in here running attacks on my Pezoi, basically just disrupting their movement, which again, maybe not the best use of troops by the AI, but probably better than standard. Here's all the Pontian Pezoi phalangites, pretty much the exact same type of troops that I have. And I'm not really into the historicity of the eastern factions very much because I'm so into Carthage. Now, Carthage did originate from the east. For those of you who may not know, they were a colony of basically the Phoenician people, and I believe that their capital city was in Tyre, and that was one of the cities that Alexander captured. And I think that's when they finally became wholly independent, was whenever Alexander destroyed their home city. Now, I say wholly independent. They were independent before, but they paid a tribute to their homeland, and still held some, I guess, patriotism for their homeland. But for whatever reason, Carthage did not get involved in helping to defend Tyre from the Macedonians. Maybe they just didn't want to be a part of that war. I don't know. And a lot of you have wondered what it would have been like had Carthage been invaded by Macedon. And as much as I like Carthage, they really did have a complete and total lack of good commanders until Hamilcar and Hannibal came around. Carthage wasn't necessarily known for its military commanders. Now, they did have large mercenary armies with well-trained mercenary troops and lots of talent. They just didn't necessarily always use it the best. And thus they suffered a lot of defeats to the Greeks on Sicily that they were at war with for over 100 years. So here's my Hypaspatae hitting these Pezoi and Pontic nobles from behind, but these Pontic nobles are more than a match for my Hypaspatae, I believe. So they're going to defend themselves quite well there. But the Pontian troops are definitely completely surrounded, and this may be hard for some of you to follow because my troops look very similar to the Pontians, but you can kind of keep track of the flags there. So, yep. Anyway, I like RTR Platinum 1.9. I don't play with it all the time because on my computer, like, it works fine, but every now and then when you're playing campaign, it'll crash and you have to restart. And it gets kind of annoying if you forgot to save your game, but since there's autosave, it's not too bad. I do like the campaign. I just like the campaign on RTR 7 better for a lot of reasons, but I'm not going to lie, even though I'm very happy that it takes place in the Western Mediterranean, I wish that it did have some more factions. But nonetheless, it was an excellent mod. And I know many of you have been wanting me to try the Roma Surrectum 2 mod. I have taken a look at some of the pictures. It looks very good. I do want to try it, I just don't know if I'll have time to, and it also looks like it was a complete conversion mod. And for those of you who've asked me this question before too, you say, hey, can you still play Rome Total War if you install RTR? Well, RTR has what they call a mod switch version that you can download. I haven't looked long and hard enough to see if Roma Surrectum has the same thing. If you have a complete conversion mod and you install it, no, you won't be able to play RTW. What you have to do is copy a folder of RTW, like a whole fresh copy of the game somewhere else, and then install the mod on top of that if you don't want to lose your original game. So some of you can also see that this fight is taking a rather long time. There's a couple of my Hypaspatae killing those. They're pretty cool looking troops. They got the feathers, kind of like the companion cav. There goes the Pontian general. I've been keeping my general in the backfield, and I forgot about him until now. And although it is a general's unit and not very large, it is heavy cavalry. And so I've decided to take my general off of the sidelines and into the action. And I'm going to hit these Pontic noble troops from behind. My troops have been squaring off with them, and there's just basically been almost no one dying. So here I charge in and kill about 10 of these Pontian nobles, and then I immediately charge my general out because I don't want to get him killed. This guy seems to want to stick around and have a little bit of a water cooler chat with these guys. And I take my horses back out, and I want to recharge, but I can see these Pontian nobles walking towards my horsemen with their spears, and I definitely don't want to charge into that. So here in a moment I'm going to take my phalangites out of phalanx mode, there you go, and I'm going to charge in with swords drawn, and that way it kind of gets these spearmen all tied up and fixed, and now I'm going to charge my horsemen back in. So that was a little bit of a kind of micro strategy there on my part, and it ends up working, and we routed those Pontian nobles, which is good. You can see they have an eagle on top of their banner. That means that they were inspiring other troops, and so with them routing from the field, it's going to be a further morale blow to the Pontian troops who have also lost their general. You can see finally a couple of units start to rout on my right flank, and I'm going to drive in another hammer and anvil strike on these Pontian nobles, and that's going to rout them. So now we have 2 Pontian units with an eagle that are routing, and that's definitely going to be a morale blow. And now almost all of the troops on my right flank are routing. I've got all of my troops into the mix over here. This has just been a big free-for-all. I've got my slingers in here. I've got my Pezoi. So yeah, it's just a big mess over there. And those Pontian nobles finally give it up. And so we have kind of one last pocket of Pontian resistance over here. And You can see the skins for these Pontian troops and my Pezoi as well are not too different from RTR or RTW Vanilla. I think Vanilla did a pretty good job with some of the troops, but there's some mods like RTR7, and then of course it looks like on Roma Surrectum 2 that do even more detailed skins. And another thing I noticed about Roma Surrectum 2 is it seems like they really changed up the vegetation. And to be honest, I was pretty impressed with the pictures that I looked at. It seems like if they could do such a good job with a game, it makes me upset in some ways that CA couldn't do as good as they did when they released it, because I mean it really does look very good. So for those of you who've been telling me to look at it, I have looked at it, and perhaps I'll try and get it on my computer this weekend, I don't know. I do have to watch the football games, and this may upset some of you other Americans, but I'm an Oklahoma fan, and with their rough start to this season, I was definitely not too happy, and I was thinking that Florida State was going to come in and stomp us, and although the game isn't over today, Oklahoma being ahead by 20-some-odd points at halftime is very good. So sorry to the Prince of Macedon, I know you're a Seminoles fan, so you're probably not having the best day, but I am glad to see my team playing like they should be. Anyway, this battle's pretty much over. The only reason that the battle isn't over is because these Pontian nobles are fighting to the death, which is pretty brave of them, facing overwhelming odds. This is almost like something the Spartans would do, and these guys are definitely not Spartans. Anyway, we're going to watch them get cut down by my troops. They really hold their ground pretty well, considering that they're all the way surrounded. But they're dying. They're down to 10 men now and dropping fast. I've pretty much just ordered all my troops in on them. And once they die, the battle's over. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little look into some Eastern factions. I don't get to the Eastern factions a whole lot because I love Carthage. So I hope you enjoyed seeing Egypt and what it probably should have looked like on Rome Total War Vanilla. And for those of you who wonder why I don't play as Egypt, it's because that's what they should have been, and instead of like the biblical army that chased Moses across the Red Sea. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll try and bring you some more mod footage from time to time just to give people an idea of what's out there, and if I get a chance I'll try Roma Surrectum 2. But for all those people asking me to try all these different mods, I can't try them all. It takes an extraordinary amount of time to go out and research these things, find them, install them, and like I said, I'm quite busy. I'll do what I can, but don't expect me to be able to get out and show you footage from all the mods, and I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to get you footage from Roma Surrectum 2, but I'll try to, since so many of you have brought it up. Alright, again, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will bring you more in the future.